The Oakland A's continue to retool their roster. In the Jeff Samardzija deal, they get 4 young players. Tim McMaster here, joined by MLBpipeline.com's Jim Callis and Jonathan Mayo. And let's go through these 4 players. Jim, I start with you. Marcus Semien is a guy who's seen some time in the majors with the White Sox.
Definitely. I think he's the best player in this deal. I think he's going to have the biggest impact. He's going to make the most immediate impact. Looking at it today, he looks to me like he's their starting shortstop for 2015. Capable of playing second base and third base. He's got more power than typical middle infielder. I think he's a guy who could hit 10, 12 home runs, maybe 15, maybe not in that park. Average runner, good on base skills. I think he's the guy who's really going to be the key to the deal for Oakland.
And then Jonathan, Josh Phegley's another guy who I think most people that follow Major League Baseball have heard that name.
Right, because he's spent some time in the big leagues, and he's really got 2 main tools. He's got power bat and a power arm. He can really throw. The rest of his catching skills are a little bit more suspect, and that's why he ended up spending a good chunk of the year in AAA, but showed the power at 23 homers in AAA. I think he's the kind of guy who may never be an everyday catcher, especially because some of those defensive inadequacies, but he could be a backup, maybe a guy who DHs someplace in first base, but the kind of power bat that the A's probably are trying to find in terms of replacing some of the run production that they've traded away of late.
Jim, Ronhell Ravello's a guy hit over 300 in Double-A in 2014, 37 doubles. What do you like about him?
I think you could argue he might have been the best pure hitter in the White Sox system before they traded him. Former 6th-round pick, really good feel for hitting, great approach at the plate, doesn't strike out a whole lot. The question with him is really going to be how much power he provides. He did lead the Southern League in doubles. He also hit only 11 home runs, and I think the consensus is that he's probably below average in terms of power. He's probably 12, 15 home run guy. And so while he'll hit for average, is that really enough power to be an everyday first baseman in the big leagues? That's going to be the question with him.
And then, Jonathan, they do get some pitching back as well in Chris Bassett.
Yeah, and I think that maybe Semien is the best player in the deal, but Bassett, especially if you think he can stick in a rotation, could come close, at least in terms of immediate impact. And it's a guy who missed most of 2014, had a broken hand during the offseason, but came back in July, pitched well in the minors, made his big league debut, made 5 starts for the White Sox, most of them good in September, then went on to the Fall League for the 2nd straight year and pitched really well, all in relief. So at the very least, I think the A's have a guy with decent stuff across the board who could pitch very well out of a bullpen. But if you think that he really does have a chance to stick in a rotation, and there's some effort to his delivery and some questions there, they have a guy who could fit into the back end of their rotation right away, starting opening day 2015.